I've always known about Jesus. My grandfather is a preacher, and so I grew up every Sunday hearing about this man, Jesus Christ. I accepted him when I was 9 years old, but I didn't really understand what that meant. It was more just to make my parents happy than it was a real decision. I was sent to a private Christian school, and the Bible that we read on Sundays was suddenly a really boring textbook. And I had to meet with the principal before I could attend the school so he could determine whether or not I had truly accepted Christ into my heart. And at the end of the conversation, he told me that he didn't feel like I was really on fire for God. And even though it was true, I really resented that. That really bothered me. My resentment grew because as I started attending, I just realized that I didn't really fully fit in. The kids felt like hypocrites. They would make fun of me and all the other kids that were new. And one time, a guy threw me by my backpack into a bush, and I just knew. I was like, I can't stay here. This is the worst thing ever, and I secretly hated Christians. I really did. I wouldn't admit it to my parents, but they didn't look anything like Jesus, the Jesus I had read about. So I left that school and I started attending a public school, and it was a lot better, but I started experimenting with life and making poor choices, and I was really good at hiding those poor choices. And I still believed in God, but I wanted to do it my way. I didn't want to make a commitment. I knew He was there, but I was content with just going with my parents to church on Sunday and going out back to school and doing things I shouldn't. I dated a few boys, and right before I graduated high school, I started dating a boy who was a Mormon, and he was really committed to his church and his faith, and I really admired that. I thought that was really cool. And he started asking me questions about what I believed, and I just told him kind of how I grew up a Baptist and whatnot, but I couldn't really give him any answers to his questions, and he told me that it didn't seem like I knew very much about my religion, and I was like, he's right. And so I accepted an invitation to come to a youth group in Spanaway called Thrive. And I came and I was taken aback because I saw people that didn't look like the Christians at my old school. They looked more like Jesus. They weren't perfect, but they definitely were trying, and they looked a lot more like Him. I'm a songwriter, and these people at Real Life Family Center who looked like Jesus to me started to influence the way I wrote my songs. It was no longer about my life and my problems. It started to become about God and what He's done for me and what He will do and continues to do. And when I would sing worship songs at church, I started to hear the words I was singing and mean them. They were no longer just words. One of my songs, the first line is, "You are the one I've heard of." And that line just describes my journey from being a fan of Jesus to a committed follower. He's no longer just someone I've heard about. He's somebody I know. He's my Savior, and I have a relationship with Him. So I started getting plugged in. I got involved, and I'm glad I made the decision to get involved before I fully understood Jesus, or before I felt like a good person, because getting involved and getting plugged in and meeting people helped me to develop my relationship with God. It helped me to understand Him better. Today I'm involved in worship ministry and youth ministry, specifically junior high girls, because that was one of the worst times of my life, and I understand them and I can help them with their problems and relate to them. I can't imagine standing on the sidelines anymore and just watching, being a fan. I have to be in the game. I have to play. I have to be on the field, living out what God has called me to. My name is Bree Gonzalez, and I am not a fan.